So, good morning, everyone. Today we have to talk about very let's fundamental of dealing the time complexity with the help of asymptotic notations. So, as you all are aware that there are basically five notations, right? Big O, theta notation and omega notation. And then there are two other notations, small o notation and small omega notation. So this picture we have used just for showing the, how the complexity is showing uh, its impact in terms of, CPU operation. So CPU operation, that means, it is going to take much time for completing its task, because if it requires more CPU operation, then definitely it is going to take more time. So as for the outline for today's discussion, we have to learn about why complexity analysis of the algorithms are relevant, and notations for analyzing the time complexity. Of course, these are the listed notations: theta notation, big O notation, big omega notation, small o notation, and omega notation. So I'm very sure if you'll focus on this class and you know uh, you'll pay the attention on each and every point, then after end of the class you will get to know how these notations are going to play their role for analyzing the time complexity. So uh, first of all, we have to learn why uh, complexity analysis of algorithms are important. So nowadays you can see that everyone is looking for high computing power devices with let's significant amount of storage of memory. For example, if you are going to purchase a cell phone, then you are having the factors in your mind related, computation, I mean processor of the cell phone and storage of the cell phone, like this. So you can see that it is very uh, let's obvious. I mean, we can say that nowadays, after expending, let's very nominal amount of money, we are able to get the let's significant storage. Although computing is comparatively costlier than the storage, but both are relevant. So if you are thinking that why we are worried about the complexity of the algorithm, because maybe after expending some extra amount of money, we will get let's say high computing power device and maybe huge amount of memory to store. But my dear friends, let me tell you, computing devices may be fast, but they cannot be infinitely fast. Are you getting the point? Computing devices may be fast, but it cannot be infinitely fast. So that means reducing the uh, processing time, I mean computation time of the task is still relevant. Although we are having very high computing power devices, then also we can say that uh, dealing of with the time complexity of the algorithm is relevant. Now here, when we talk about memory, it is cheap. I mean, it can be cheap, it may be cheap, but it is not free. Maybe you are let's after let's investing some nominal amount of money, you are going to have the storage in TB, or maybe some 100 GB, 10 GB, or 20 GB in your cell phone, but it is uh, cheap but not free. So that means these two factors are very relevant for let's analyzing in terms of complexity of the algorithm. And of course, when we are analyzing the in terms of complexity, in terms of computation, we call it time complexity. And when we are analyzing the complexity of the algorithm in terms of storage, we call it space complexity. So these resources should be used wisely, I mean used wisely. Resources are, let's say computation power of the devices and storage amount of the I mean storage of the devices. So the algorithm that are efficient in terms of time and space will help you to do so. So that means the algorithm, which are taking lesser time to, let's say, get executed, and lesser amount of memory to get, stored in the, let's say, memory. So if you are going to design the algorithm considering these two factors, then we can achieve these two objectives. I mean, less computation power and less storage amount of memory. So these are the two major factors for exploring the, let's say, analyzing the complexity of the algorithm. So I hope it is clear to you people. And now, uh, basically, there are three notations. Two notations we'll discuss in the later part of this presentation, but here theta notation, you can see that this is used for analyzing the average case time complexity of the algorithm. Average case time complexity of the average case time complexity. Average case time complexity. So in the diagram you can see there are two functions, fn and gn. Fn and gn, there are two functions, and we have to analyze that whether this function fn can be expressed in terms of, gn or not, when we are going to analyze the average case time complexity. So here y-axis indicates the t, and what is t? T is the time complexity. Time complexity. T indicates the time complexity, and n is nothing but it is a set of natural numbers. This n, n is set of natural numbers. Natural numbers. Now, we have to think what should be the condition. I mean, what will be the condition when we will be able to represent the time complexity of one function in terms of another function, and theta gn, it represents a set. Theta gn represents a set, and fn belong to that set. So maybe if we are going to write it in some another terms, then we can write it like fn belongs to theta of g of n. You can write it like this way also, and you will be able to know that how, this is going to be a set, because when we are going to express, let's complexity of fn in terms of, let's gn, so we can define it like, let's theta of g of n is equal to fn such that there exist positive constants, positive constant, positive constants C1, C2 and N naught such that such that Fn is less than or equal to C2 Gn greater than or is equal to C1 Gn and it is greater than or equal to 0 for all n is greater than or is equal to n naught. So if this is the condition, I mean, if theta gn is going to hold this condition for this the function fn, then we can write that fn is equal to theta of g of n, theta of g of n. Now you can see, if you look at the, if we look at a particular uh, position of let's n, I mean value of n maybe here, and you can see this, you know, this range is going to contain some set of values, and fn is lying somewhere in between these two you know, boundaries, c1gn and c2gn, c1gn and c2gn. So just if you read this line, there exists some positive constants c1 and c2 and n naught such that c1gn will be lesser than fn and c2gn will be greater than fn, greater than or equal to fn. Then we can express the time complexity of fn in terms of gn, fn in terms of gn. Now here let me use another blank. Okay, now you can see, if we are going to define it in some other terms, then we can write it like a function. Okay, just 1 minute. A function fn belongs to the set theta gn. You are already aware that it is why we call it set theta gn. If there exist, I mean, you know, if I have explained, if there exist, if there exists c1 c2 and n naught, for that, you know, it is holding the condition for sufficiently large value of n, for sufficiently large value of n. Now let me explain it with the help of example. Suppose that gn is equal to given function, let's n square, and fn is equal to another function that is on 1 by 2 n square minus 3n. And let's check it whether we can write fn is equal to theta of g of n or not. Let's check it whether we can write like this or not. So for that, what we have to do, we have to check the condition. So condition is, I mean, already mentioned, 1 by 2 n square minus 3n is less than or is equal to C2. And what is C2gn? C2gn, so gn is n square, C2gn, and similarly here C1gn, so here C1 n square, and it is greater than or equal to 0. So just divide both sides from n square, so it will be, let's see here, C1 less than or equal to 1 by 2 minus 3 by n less than or is equal to C2. Now, as for the condition, it is written that there exist positive constants C1, C2, and n naught. So of course, we have to look for the condition also, and you have to also think about these values should be positive. So here, if we are going to have C2 greater than or is equal to 1 by 2, then this condition is going to hold, because n not here n cannot be less than 0. It cannot be less than 0 because n is a set of natural numbers. N belongs to natural numbers, already mentioned, natural numbers. Natural numbers. So if we are going to have C2 is greater than R is equal to 1 by 2, is one of the, I mean, for any value of n, maybe we can say that n is greater than or equal to 1. But what about C1? C1, what should be the value of C1? If C1 is going to, I mean, we have to choose C1 like, when we are going to choose the value of n for any, specified value of n, C1 will be smaller than that. And condition is C1 must be positive also. So if we are going to have, let's n is equal to 1, then this value will be negative, and C1 cannot be negative. So that means we cannot take n is equal to 1. Now, what we can do, if we are going to take n is equal to 6, then 3 by 6, it will be 1 by 2 minus 3 by 6, that is 1 by 2. It is going to be 0. But here C1 must be a positive constant. So what we can do, we can increase the value of n further. Now if we are going to take n is equal to 7, so let me tell you, if you are computing, let's say, 1 by 2 minus 3 by 7, so it will be something 1 by 14. 1 by 14. So if we are going to choose C1 lesser than or is equal to 1 by 14, and n is greater than or is equal to 7, then we can say that this condition is going to hold. This condition is going to hold. So uh, in general way, if we are going to choose the value of C1, C2, and n naught for writing Fn is equal to theta of Gn, then what it will be? Let's, C1 is equal to 1 by 14, C2 is equal to 1 by 2, and here n is nothing but it is n naught. N naught is 7, and where n is greater than or is equal to n naught. So for these values, condition in the algorithm, it is already in the notation, I mean condition of the this theta notation, it is already mentioned that uh, if we have some positive constants c1 c2, and for any there exists a value of n naught for which it is holding the condition is let me write it once again here. C1 gn is less than or equal to fn is less than or equal to c2 gn, and here it is greater than 0, it is holding the condition. Then we can say that we can write fn is equal to theta of g of n. Fn is equal to theta of g of n. So this is all about theta notation, and of course it represents the average case time complexity already mentioned here, average case time complexity. And most of the algorithms, when someone is asking that tell me the time complexity of the algorithm, then what we do, we used to tell the time complexity in terms of considering its average case, I mean theta notation. And many times we use the big O notation also for telling the worst case time complexity. So let's discuss the worst case time complexity. So here big O notation, what it does, it represents the
Best case.
big O notation represents the worst case. Big O notation represents the worst case. Worst case time complexity.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, previous example, n naught is equal to 6.
I'll discuss. Just note down your questions. I will discuss in the end, right? Let
Okay, sir.
me
Okay.
complete it first. So big O notation, it is used to represents the worst case time complexity, and it is also here this y-axis again represents the time complexity. It represents the time complexity, and x-axis, of course, it is indicating the size of the, let's say, input size of the algorithm, where n is a natural number, so maybe it is 0 1 2 3 and so on like this. And we have to again think in terms of whether these two given function fn and gn, is it possible to represent the worst case time complexity of fn in terms of gn or not. We have to check that whether is it possible to represent the worst case time complexity of function fn in terms of gn or not. So there is a condition. So condition is what we have to do, order of maybe big O of g of n is equal to fn such that there exist positive constant c and n naught, this is c and n naught is mentioned here. C and N naught such that Fn is lying between C, Gn and here 0 for all n is greater than or is equal to n naught. I missed one thing to explain in the previous slide. Guys, look at here. Although mathematically I have explained, but I forgot to mention. In this algorithm, you can see after this portion, why we are saying that n is greater than or equal to n naught. After this portion, for the given C1 and C2, Fn is going to lie in between C1 and C1gn and C2gn, lying in between C1gn and C2gn. It is not going to change its behavior, but before that it can change. Maybe you can have the function like this also, and let's we call it f dash n rather than saying that fn, f dash n. Then what will be the value of n naught in this case? This is going to be the n naught. So it is not necessary that you have to plot the graph like this one. You can plot any graph, but the point is it must hold the condition. Now here, big O notation represents the worst case time complexity, and big O of Gn is equal to Fn. And for there exists some positive constants C and N naught. If it is holding the condition this one, then we can say that we can write Fn is equal to big O of G of N. Let's explain it with the help of example. So here we can take the example of some function fn and gn. So assume that fn is equal to some 3n plus 2 and gn is equal to n. So check that whether we can write fn is equal to big O of g of n or not. We have to check whether we can write fn is equal to big O of g of n or not. Of course, if we are able to write, then find out the value of c and n naught. So check the condition. So fn is here 3n plus 2 greater than or is equal to 0, and here c gn is n. Now what we can do, we can divide by n both sides, I mean to the whole expression, and dividing from n is not going to change the inequality because n is going to be a natural number. If we are going to divide it with negative number, then it will change the inequality, but n cannot be negative, so it will not affect the inequality of this expression. So 3 plus 2 by n is less than or equal to c. So can you tell me what should be the value of c? If n is equal to 1,
5.
then this if we are going to take n is equal to n, then this value is going to be 5. So that means if we are going to take c is greater than or is equal to 5 and n is greater than or is equal to 1, then it is going to hold the this inequality. Maybe you can read here there exists. So it is not necessary that you have to take c equal to 5 only. Maybe we are going to take c is greater than or is equal to 4. Then in that case, n must be greater than or is equal to 2. right? So you can look for this one also, you can look for this one also. So here, for holding the condition, for holding this condition, for holding this condition, C, if we are going to choose the value of C is equal to 4, uh, just 1 minute, C is equal to 4, then in that case N naught will be 2, and it will hold the condition for all N is greater than or equal to N naught. So if it is holding the condition for these values, then we can say that this function Fn can be expressed in terms of Gn. So maybe if someone is asking that, what will be the time complexity, or maybe worst case time complexity of this expression 3n plus 2, then we can say that it will be order of n. Why we can say? Because we have checked that whatever the necessary condition for expressing the time complexity in terms of in terms of worst case, it is holding the condition, it is holding the condition. And this is a graph indicated here. Cgn is let's say upper boundary for it, and Fn is after this particular value, n naught, it is always going to lie below the Cgn. And what is the value of n naught? If we look at here, so n naught will be 2 and C is chosen 4. Once again, it is not necessary to have the graph like this only, this one only. You can have some other graphs also. Maybe this is your Cgn, this is your Cgn, and it is, maybe we are going to have something different here. Maybe you can have it like this, here n naught, and this is Fn. If it is holding the condition for this n naught and C, then also we can express it Fn is equal to big O of G of n, big O of G of n. So this is the I mean representing the worst case time complexity.
Sir, for n naught is equal to 1,
For
it will
n
also
naught,
satisfy.
yes, of course. That's why I have mentioned two conditions here. Right?
Okay,
If you
okay,
are
sir.
going to take C equal to 5 and n naught is equal to 1, it holds the condition. So there exists.
Yes, there exists for any value of n.
Yes, there must be any positive and value of C for which this condition must hold. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई आप ऐसी वैल्यू ले लें जिसके लिए ये कंडीशन वायलेट करने लगे बट सी और एन नॉट पॉजिटिव है, ऐसा नहीं है. वो वैल्यू इस तरीके से होनी चाहिए कि इस कंडीशन को होल्ड करे.
Okay, sir.
So this is about worst case time complexity, and let me tell you this omega notation. Omega notation, what it does, it is used to represents the best case time complexity. Best case time complexity. Best case complexity. And one thing, I think I have mentioned or not, but let me repeat it. These, notations are, we can say that asymptotically tight. Asymptotically tight, that means, they can touch the boundaries. They can touch the boundaries. Maybe if this omega gn, or maybe let's theta gn big O of G of n, or maybe omega G of n, whatever the notation we are going to tell, Fn can take each and every value. Fn can take each and every value. What is the meaning of Fn can take each and every value? like, you know, suppose that these are the function here, C1 Gn and C2 Gn, C2 Gn. So Fn can touch, Fn can touch. Maybe if it is going to down, so it can touch, it can touch, but it cannot go below C1 Gn, and it cannot go C2 Gn. That is the point. That's why we used to say that it is asymptotically tight. Asymptotically tight, that means it can touch, it can take every value of these sets, theta Gn, big O of Gn, omega Gn. This is the actual, I mean, you know, we can say that literal meaning of this asymptotically tight. I hope it is clear. Now let me tell you, okay, it will be better idea to use this one. Now, if we are going to define this notation, so how we can define? We can define omega of G of n is equal to Fn such that there exists positive C and N naught such that Fn is greater than or equal to Cgn and it is greater than or equal to 0. If it is holding the condition like this, then we can say that we can write Fn is equal to big omega of G of n. If it is holding the condition like this, then we can express it like this. Now again, look at the diagram here. This is T representing the time complexity, and this is the input, and N naught is the value indicating that after this point, Fn is always going to lie above Cgn, Now let's take the example to find out whether, you know, how it works. So maybe we can take the example Fn is equal to same example in the as we took in the previous case, 3n plus 2, and Gn is equal to n. Now we have to check that whether we can write Fn is equal to omega of G of n or not. We have to check. Now look at the condition. So Fn is here 3n plus 2 less than or equal to n, and here Cgn, so maybe it can be written like Cn, and greater than or equal to 0. Divide both sides from n, so it will become C, and here 3 plus 2 by n. Now find out the value of C and n naught. C and n naught. So what we can take? Any guess? So if we are going to take C is less than or equal to 5, because if we are going to take n is equal to 1, then it will become 5. When we are going to take, no, it is not like this. It is not like this. We have to take C is less than or equal to 3. C is less than or equal to 3, because when n is going to tend infinity, then this portion will become 0. Like When n is going to be very large, then this portion will become 0, and in that case it will become 3. So this expression, the right side expression, its minimum value can be 3. So whatever the value we have to take c for c, it must be less than or equal to 3, and of course it will be greater than 0 because positive constant. And n naught, for n naught, for n naught, if it is going to, if we are going to take 1, then it violate the condition. It will violate the, no, it is fine, it is fine. 2 by 1, it is 5, so it is not going to violate the condition. So that means n can be greater than or equal to 1. N can be greater than or equal to 1. So for writing fn is equal to omega of g of n, what should be the value of c and n naught? Maybe c we can take 3 and n naught we can take 1, and it holds the condition for all n is greater than or equal to n naught. So this is the actual working of this algorithm. I mean this notation, omega notation. And once again, let me tell you, this is not necessary to have the graph like this one only. You can have some other graphs also. Maybe suppose that this is your CGN. This is your CGN. And in this graph, it has been started from here. Maybe you are starting from here. Let's like this, and then here it is Fn, and this one will be the value of n naught. Someone is saying that this is the value of n naught. Is it possible to have this one?
No, sir.
It is not possible to have this one, because as per the definition, it must not change its behavior for defined, I mean for chosen c and n naught. It should not change its behavior, but you can see it is changing its behavior here, going down and then coming up. And what is expected? It must be always up. It must be always up. So that means this value cannot be n naught. This value cannot be n naught. So what will be the n naught? This one will be the n naught. So this is about big omega notation. Big omega notation and represents the best case time complexity. So these are the three notations for time complexity, and there are another two notations. Let me discuss that also. So small o notation, and there is another notation, small omega notation. Small omega notation is this one, and small o notation is this one. So I have used this diagram to show that you can see here, small o notation is stronger than big O notation. And similarly, small omega notation is stronger than big omega notation. So that means if some function is, if you are able to write it like, let's fn is equal to small omega of g of n, then definitely you will be able to write it big O of g of n. Similarly for big O notation and small O notation also. So if you are able to write fn is equal to small o of g of n, then you can also write Fn is equal to big O of Gn. That's the reason, you know, these notations, these two notations are stronger notation than its, you know, uppercase, I mean big O and big omega notation. So let me explain it. Let me explain its working, how it works. Then you will be able to realize that. Okay, so if we are going to define these notations, then what we have to do is small o notation. We can say that small o notation. Let's keep it small. Small o notation is used to denote an upper bound, is used to denote an upper bound that is not asymptotically tight. That is not asymptotically tight. So maybe you will be here to get to know the meaning of asymptotically tight. So let me tell you with the help of diagram. So suppose that this is your Fn, this is your Fn, and maybe something like this is your CGN, and this is the point N0. So after this point, this Fn will never touch the CGN, will never touch the CGN. In the previous case, in big O notation, it can touch, it can reach to the value, but it cannot reach in case of Fn. I mean, in small O notation, it can never touch the values of CGN, highest values of CGN. Maybe when we are thinking in terms of let's set, then it cannot take all the values of this, you know, small OGN. That's the reason we used to say that it is not asymptotically tight, not asymptotically tight. So not asymptotically tight means here it cannot touch the value of CGN after N0. Now, if we are going to define it, if we are going to define it with the help of some conditions, so small o of G of N can be, I mean, we can say that it is equal to Fn for any positive constant C and N naught, C and N naught, such that Fn is greater than or equal to 0, and here we'll have the strict inequality CGN, right? In the previous one, you can see we had the equality here also, but in this one it will be strict inequality. I mean, it will be lesser than, not or equal to, it will be lesser than for all n is greater than or equal to n naught. If it is holding the condition like this, then we can write Fn is equal to small o of G of n, small o of G of n. Now, Let's take an example. It will be more clear to you. So guys, let's the functions are, let's fn is equal to 2n and gn is equal to n square. Fn is equal to 2n and gn is equal to n square. Check that whether can we write fn is equal to small o of g of n or not. So put the condition, put these values in the condition. So here it will be c n square is less than 2n, fn is 2n is greater than or equal to 0. Here, let me erase it because it will be lesser than, not equal to. Okay, not this one. Okay, so find out the value of c. Find out the value of c. So maybe when we are going to divide it like here, it will become 2 by n, not equal to. Then it will become c. Now choose the value of c. Choose the value of c. So maybe c, whatever, for any positive constant, for any positive constant. So you can choose any value of c. Maybe you have taken c is equal to 10. Yeah, maybe for c equal to 10, definitely it is going to hold. Let's choose c equal to some lower value, some smaller value. So let's c equal to 1 by, let's 10 raised to the power 6. Then what should be the value of n? You are free to choose any value of c, and accordingly you have to select value of n naught. So in that case, if you are going to select n naught is equal to, let's 10 raised to the power 7, then it will hold, it will hold the condition. So that means for any positive constant c will have some n naught for which it will hold the condition. It will hold the condition. So here maybe c equal to, you are going to choose some other value. Let's c equal to 2. Then you have to choose n will be greater than or equal to let's 2. So anything, any values you can choose, and you will find that, of course, it will be values will be positive. Then it will hold the it will hold the conditions, and then, I mean, if it holds the condition, then we can say that fn can be expressed in terms of small o of g of n. Now let's, another way of defining this complexity is with, in terms of, looking forward to, define in terms of limit. So here if you look at this one, so gn is going to be very large for large value of n in comparison to fn. Gn is going to be significantly very large in comparison to fn if it holds the condition fn is equal to small o of gn. So maybe we can define it like the ratio of fn divided by gn, and let's here limit n tends to infinity. So infinity indicates that for very large value, for very large value, gn is going to be very high in comparison to fn. It is going to be very high in comparison to fn, and already, dividing a very low, I mean a small number with a very high value, what it will do, it will tend to 0. So if the function fn and gn is satisfying this condition, fn divided by gn for very large value of n tends to 0, then also we can say that we can write Fn is equal to small o of G of n. Now look at the last case, omega notation. So omega notation is, if we have two functions fn and gn, so what we can do, we can express fn is equal to omega of g of n, omega of g of n, and if we are going to analyze it in the graphical way, so here maybe this is your cgn, and this is your fn, this is your fn. So for large value of n, fn is going to be very high. So here also, if we are going to define, let's n tends to infinity, fn divided by gn, then what will be its value? For large value of n, fn is going to be very high in comparison to gn. So dividing, let's say, when we are going to divide infinity with 1, then it will be infinity only. So it will tend to infinity. It will tend to infinity. Similarly, if we are going to define it in the by using the condition, so we can define it like omega notation. Omega notation denotes a lower bound. We use omega notation to denote lower bound, to denote lower bound that is not asymptotically tight. That is not asymptotically tight. Right? So if we are going to express it like this, then omega of g of n is equal to fn such that for any, once again, for any positive c and n naught, where of course c is greater than 0 because positive n naught, such that condition is very obvious. You can see the graph fn. So here cgn will be lesser than fn and it will be greater than or equal to 0 for all n is greater than or equal to n naught. Let's take the example. Let's fn is equal to n square by 2 and gn is equal to n. Gn is equal to n. Now put into, we have to check that whether we can write fn is equal to omega of g of n or not. We have to check whether we can write it or not. We can write it or not. So for checking it, what we have to do, greater than or equal to 0, and then cgn. So here, oh sorry, cgn. So here it will become cn and less than or equal to less than n square by 2. So for any, look at here, for any positive c and n naught. So for any positive c, you have to choose any value of c. So maybe someone is saying that we are going to choose c equal to, let's 1 and n naught is equal to, let's 5. Of course it will hold the condition, but some of you are telling that no sir, I am going to choose very big value of c. Maybe let's 10 equal c is equal to 10 raised to the power 6. Then will it hold the condition or not? So then another boy is saying that if you are going to choose c equal to 10 raised to the power 6, then I am going to choose n naught is equal to 10 raised to the power 7. And you can see it will hold the condition, because 10 raised to the power 7 into 10 raised to the power 7, that is 10 raised to the power 14 divided by 2, and here it will be 10 raised to the power 6 into 10 raised to the power 7, that will become 10 raised to the power 13. So it is holding the condition. So that means we can write Fn is equal to omega of g of n. Now what about when we are going to have gn is equal to n square? What about this one? Now let's check the condition. So if we are going to have it like this one, then it will become cn square greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to n square by 2. Now check, whatever the value you are going to choose for c, it is not going to hold the condition. Let's c equal to something, 1 by, let's 10 raised to the power 6. C equal to, let's, someone is requesting to join. Okay, fine. Now guys, you can see, if we are having like this, then in that case, we have to choose whatever the value we are going to choose, it is not going to hold the condition, because here it is 10 raised to the power divided by 10 raised to the power 6, and if we are going to choose very bigger value of n, then it will not hold the condition. It will not hold the condition. I mean, it will not hold for any c. It will not hold for any c, because here if we are going to choose c equal to 1 divided by 10 raised to the power 6, then maybe it will hold. But if we are going to choose c is equal to 3, yeah, maybe c is equal to 4, then it will not hold. It will not hold. And it must hold for any. Look at the condition. So here it will not hold. So that means if Fn is equal to n square by 2, or Gn is equal to n square, then we cannot write Fn is equal to omega of g of n square. I mean omega of g of n. We cannot write. It is not possible. Similarly, I missed in the previous notation. Here Fn and Gn, I have chosen here 2n and n square. And what about when we have 2n square? Then also you can check that it will not hold the condition. So this is all about big O notation, theta notation, big omega notation, small o notation, and small omega notation, right?